Hey Siri, what's next?
What's Next is a live TV show which airs this morning at 10 a.m. on the Growing Bolder Facebook page. It stars the amazing Marc Middleton and that other guy, Bill something.
Really?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Growing bolder, what's next? With Mark and Bill.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to What's Next. I'm Marc Middleton. Bill Shafer and Laura Savini are standing by live, ready to go. And we've got a great program for you today. So let's get started and show you exactly what's next. Coming up today, Mother's Day is Sunday. We've got a Mother's Day surprise. We will share our tribute to National Nurses Week. You will meet live the Corona Bubble Boy. Talk about a creative, amusing, thought-provoking art project, folks. This is it. And Laura Savini has the keys to pantry cooking, which has now become a pandemic necessity. So let's start with Mother's Day, because Sunday, the second Sunday in May is always Mother's Day. And, I got to tell you guys, I've always respected nurses, but, Mother's Day has gotten to be a whole lot more meaningful this year, especially because we can't get to see our mothers. Those that are in nursing homes and long-term care facilities won't allow us in. My mother, folks, passed away about 6 years ago. And it's always difficult for me when Mother's Day rolls around. I so wish I could just hear her voice again. And, that's really one of the interesting things about this pandemic, something that was totally unforeseen. We've all talked about internet use being up, I think it's 22% over the past couple of months, but there has been a 35% surge in plain old voice calls, a medium that was going out of fashion for many years. In fact, young adults, our kids, the ones that grew up texting and messaging and never would use the telephone, are suddenly embracing voice technology. One expert calls voice the new killer app. So not only are there more phone calls being made these days, but the length of the phone calls has gotten a lot longer as well. There is a new appreciation for the sound of someone's voice, especially our loved one's voice. Bill Shafer, you're lucky. Your mom is still alive. I know she's been struggling lately. She's in her 90s. How are you going to celebrate Mother's Day?
First of all, a great point about the phones, and I'll talk about that in a second. But Mark, I can't believe it's been 6 years already for you. And that started me thinking when you said that, my mom's 92.
Wow.
How in the world did that happen? She doesn't look 92. She hasn't acted. She still cooks and cleans and kind of manages the house all by herself. She was talking about doing the taxes and keeping up with things. But the hard part about this year and this Mother's Day is that about a month ago, my dad went to the hospital with pneumonia. They moved him from there to a physical rehab center. And he doesn't understand why nobody's coming to visit. All they have are the voice calls. He really can't wrap his head around the pandemic or what's going on. And that's tough for a lot of people this time around. And Barbara Hannah Grufferman, who is a really good friend of Growing Bolder and a contributor to us, she can't visit her mom either. So she came up with the next best way to do just that.
So how are you feeling, Mom? Yeah? You did physical therapy today? Yeah, and you're doing better, definitely better. That's what I'm hearing.
Okay, everyone, so you learned my secret. That's how I visit my mother. Thank goodness she's on the first floor, not the second, or else I don't know what I'd be doing. There's my husband talking with my mom through the window right now, and her caregiver is in there with her. I have a few little gifts for my mom, which I'll get to hand in to the nurses through the door.
So guys, it's kind of heartbreaking, isn't it? I mean, she can't even give her mom a gift in person, not even a hug. And our hearts go out, especially to all the people in assisted living who are missing the simple touch of a hand or a kiss on the cheek or the warmth of a nice hug.
Yeah, Laura Savini is lucky in that regard. Laura, I know your mom also has some serious health issues, but you live nearby her. Are you able to see her?
Yes, she's part of our pod, as I call it. So it's my mom and my husband and I, and my mom is a gamer. Look at that face, 85 years old. Anything I want to do, Mark, I'm like, Mom, I'm picking you up in 10, and we go for a ride. We look at birds, we take walks on the beach. and she comes over and helps me cook. She's really wonderful, and I'm so blessed to have her move up here in September. She moved 10 minutes from my house, just in time for us to take care of her health issues and to really spend these next years together during this really odd time we're living through. It's really been a blessing.
Yeah, you guys are very lucky, and my gosh, do you look like your mom?
You look like yours.
That's a good thing. Yeah, she is gorgeous. All right, let's bring in Mike Nannis. Mikey is our director, and you've probably met him in the last couple of shows. Mike, I've met your mother. Robin is a wonderful woman. She lives in a senior living community nearby, but, like the rest of us, you can't get to her. So I think Mike's going to do the next best thing. He is going to celebrate her or perhaps embarrass her right now in front of a lot of people. Mikey?
It's what we do in 2020. I'm going to take you guys out of the mix for a second and bring in Mom. Hey, Mom.
Hi there.
Hi. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you. Thank you.
Right. Well, I'm not sure that I'm going to get to see you on Sunday because the rules are prohibiting us from coming in to visit, but I did want to just take a minute and show you this.
Oh, my baby.
Just wanted to wish you a happy Mother's Day. I know things are a little bit more difficult for us this year, but that's something I dug up from the old family archives, man.
I love it. I love it.
Yes, but I just wanted to wish you a happy Mother's Day, and I have another surprise for you. I reached out to both of our sisters last night, so wave hello to Deborah and your sister, Aunt Lori, and hopefully they'll leave a couple of comments in the mix and wish you a happy Mother's Day and a happy Mother's Day to them as well, and to all of our mothers.
That's great. That's great. Thank you.
Was it everything you thought it was going to be when you embarked on this almost 50 years ago?
With you, I'm
now remember, I'm sitting right here.
So blown away by everything that you do, continue to do, and God willing, I will be here for the next, I was saying 30, but I don't know, maybe I'll make it 40 years more.
Well, I love hearing from you, of course, and I know we're in the middle of a live show, so I better bring the boss back in and a couple of others who are patiently waiting nearby. But I just wanted to say happy Mother's Day and thank you for joining us today. And
happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, Robin.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And thank you for allowing us to share that moment with you guys. I got a little verklempt. But yeah, Robin, you did a great job. You raised a fine man. So thank you for that. All right.
Thank you.
See you later. All right. Billy, Barbara Hannah Grufferman said that it's a good thing that her mother is on the first floor, or what would she do? We're going to show you what she could do. Take a look at this. This is 88-year-old Nick Aventis, who lives in Massachusetts. His wife, 61 years, has been staying in a nursing home for the past year. He went to visit her every single day, spent the entire day there. And all of a sudden, when the pandemic arrived, he couldn't see her anymore, and he was heartbroken. So their kids rented a bucket truck and lifted him to the third story. She opened the window, and then they were able to communicate for the first time in a month. And you know what they say, guys, love will find a way. And what a great story.
Oh,
if I did that
to my eyes.
If I did that to visit my mom, she would look out the window and go, "What are you doing?"
It's a nice gesture, though. Let's move on. Last week on this program, I commented on those who think that older people are expendable, even disposable during this pandemic, and asked for your thoughts. And a couple of days later, we shared an article by a 90-year-old woman who's named Varda Yoren. And she wrote, quote, "As long as I'm still creative, as long as I still enjoy life, nobody has the right to write me off." And you agreed with Varda and me. In fact, Boone Sumantri wrote, "I'm 92 and recovering from a heart attack. I'm regaining my strength, endurance, and balance to prepare for the Tennessee Senior Olympics. Also, I plan to rejoin a fencing class, do some horseback riding, and I'm looking for a ballroom dance partner. So folks, ladies, if you're in Tennessee, look up Boone. Elizabeth Crofts told us, I'm 77 and I feel half that. There are still many books to read, songs to sing, people to cheer, love and serve, and many lands that I want to see. And we say amen to that, Elizabeth. And Juliac Moon wrote, my mother married her third husband at age 80. Boy, if you don't get it right the first time, keep trying. They were friends in the first grade and connected again just recently. She says this is the happiest she has ever been. So yeah, folks, it ain't over until we say it's over. Well, the pandemic has made all of us miss not just our families, but, colleagues, former friends, relatives, classmates, teammates, in many, many ways. Zoom reunions are happening all the time. In fact, I was involved in one just 2 nights ago. Wednesday night, there was our first really Zoom reunion of the Kili crew. 13 of the 16 people that summited Mount Kilimanjaro with me 6 years ago dropped in to catch up. We all climbed back then to support cancer survivors and cancer research. The group, in fact, included 4 cancer survivors. And of course, one of them is no longer with us. Our good friend and Growing Boulder colleague, Wendy Chioji, called Summiting Kili, this moment that you're looking at right now, the greatest moment of her life. And of course, we were all thrilled to share that with her. And I'm bringing this up because Wendy participated in multiple clinical trials because she believed that it was a way to give back, to add to the knowledge base that continues to grow and save others' lives. And I mentioned that because my tent mate during the climb was this guy, Doug Allman, a 3-time cancer survivor. This is me interviewing Doug in camp one day. At the time, he was the CEO of Livestrong. Today, he's the CEO of Pelotonia, which is one of the world's most successful grassroots cancer fundraising organizations. And Doug talked last night or 2 nights ago on our Kili call about the fact that after decades of intensive research, there's no group anywhere that knows more about our immune system and how it responds to infectious disease than cancer researchers. So today, most cancer research organizations are pivoting a good amount of their research to the COVID-19 effort. And all of these clinical trials that all of these cancer survivors have been involved in is adding to the database, the knowledge base that is helping push forward a search for a cure and a vaccine for COVID-19. So, guys, I like to think that Wendy is still not inspiring us just by what she did, but, the way she lived her life. And I know she'd be pleased to know that the clinical trials she participated in are helping right now as much as ever.
And for the so many people that are fighting cancer battles and have fought cancer battles, there is a purpose. And there is a reason, and there is a benefit from everything that they've had to go through to this point. And we thank them for fighting the good fight.
Speaking of fighting the good fight, we mentioned it's Mother's Day, always a big day. Nurses Day, I have to admit to this, folks, this is National Nurses Week. Until this year, it was kind of like, to me, it was National Cherry Pie Week. I always appreciated what they did, but I never fully understood it until now. And isn't it time that they get their due in terms of being, first responders? It's just amazing what they've all done. And I know, Laura, you see this all the time in dealing with your mom.
Yes, and my niece is a nurse, and she's been working on some of the front lines here in New York fighting COVID. And it's very trying. She's a young girl. She's only 27, 28, and that's some tough stuff to see. They are really brave, these nurses, and they go in there and they smile and they support their patients. And if you've ever been in a hospital, you're nowhere without the nurses. So we are thankful to them for sure.
So, Bill, we got to figure out a way to say thank you.
Wouldn't it be nice if there was something that Growing Boulder in particular can do, because we've got such a great voice in the community, to just say thank you to the nurses? What if we could do something like this?
All of us at Growing Boulder know this is the week. There have been a lot of National Nurses Weeks, but this is the one. This is the week we truly celebrate the people, the profession, and all the moments that make a difference. This is the week we all say thank you, and so does she, and him, and all of them, because we know you have families too. Growing Boulder says thank you to the best among us, all doing their best, this week and every week.
That's
You know,
beautiful.
the thing I like the best about appreciate the most about nurses is everybody has their technological job to do. Doctors and nurses, they have their duties, but what nurses do more than anybody else is they deal with the heart. They deal with compassion. They settle our fears where everybody's terrified when you're in the hospital or seeing doctors. They're the ones that reassure. They're the ones that help you build that positive attitude to move forward.
And they make it personal. I've been hearing that the nurses now, what they're doing, because they're so covered up, they don't want to scare their patients. They're wearing big pictures, photos of themselves on their plastic covering so that people can see, I'm a person and I'm here to help you. They're fabulous, brave people. You're going to make me cry.
You know, I have no idea, as none of us do, who Time Magazine is going to pick as their Person of the Year this year. But I think the nurse worldwide has got to be a candidate. And I think forever, National Nurses Week is going to be different for us. And I got to give a shout out. You know, one of the best things about what all of us do, because we're all involved in the media, you know, to have the ability to say in a meeting, you know what, we should do something to express thanks for nurses. And then the next thing you know, you got a Sunderland on your team, Mark Sunderland, you got a Mike Nanis, you've got an Ashley Heafy, you've got people that say, yeah, let's do something. And then a couple of days later, we see something like that. So it does feel good to be able to show and express our gratitude in a way like that.
Yeah, there was a misconception for a little while, Mark, that Growing Bolder was about older people, but it isn't. It's about people with heart. It's about people that want to make a difference in this world. It's about people that want more out of life than they're getting and aren't afraid to step up to get it. So yes, nurses are a huge part of that. And you know, another group we'd love to nominate as well that we're learning to really appreciate are teachers.
Yeah, Tuesday was National Teachers Day, and boy, haven't they earned our respect this week as well.
Oh, I love seeing around our neighborhood, teachers have put signs in front of their children's homes saying, I miss you. And that's so helpful to the kid, to the student, because they feel so separated. Yeah, that's definitely a group we should be recognizing as well.
Yeah,
amazing.
especially, Mark, when it comes to all the people that are now homeschooling their kids. And oh my gosh, how do teachers do this with like 30 kids at a time?
Kids will remember this forever. They are the COVID generation. Let's talk about creativity very quickly, because the next issue of our magazine that's coming out very quickly is lightly themed creativity. And it's for a reason, because research shows that of all of the personality traits that one can have, only creativity confers any longevity to your life. People who are creative live longer, and the mechanics of that are not fully understood. But you know, most researchers believe that it's because creative people are better problem solvers. They're better able to figure out ways around, over, or through obstacles. And as we age, you know, it's one obstacle after another. So if that's true, I think one would have to say that George and Cheryl Camper are going to live really long lives. Now, George is a big time photographer and a director. This is a guy who shoots everything. He shoots celebrity, commercial, advertising, lifestyle, portrait, editorial, and he shoots it worldwide. He goes all over doing it. And I think that he and his wife, Cheryl, came up with this idea in the pandemic, and we'll ask them in a minute because they're going to join us live. I think they came up with this idea simply to amuse themselves, but let's find out as we say hello to George and Cheryl Camper from there. Are we in Fort Lauderdale or North Miami Beach? Where are you guys?
No, we're in Fort Lauderdale, Wilton Manors to be precise.
Under the mango tree.
Under the mango tree.
Under that sounds like a song. I'm sure you guys are under the mango tree, and in the background is a bubble.
Yeah, that's our bubble.
Before we, just so people understand, let's put up a photo, Mikey. Show one of the photos in this series. And George and Cheryl, tell us how this idea came about and what you're trying to do.
Well, you know, we were trying to figure out how to just take a bad situation and try and make it better. You know, more fun, inspire people. And, you know, we could not leave the house. Unfortunately, we haven't let our kids come into the house. So we thought, you know, we're living kind of in a bubble, and we kept hearing Corona bubble. And we thought, well, let's do a whole story on the Corona bubble and where we can and can't go and staying safe. So we're hoping this is, you know, people are looking at this and getting inspired and
laughing
mostly.
You know what, I just love to look at all of these photos, the detail. And Cheryl, if you were the art director of this thing, kudos to you, because from one end of the photo to the other, there's something interesting to look at. And to me, it's here you go. You guys are looking at Joe Exotic, and George is sitting in a bubble. And so I know there's different titles for some of these photos. Is this the Redneck Bubble Boy, or how do you call this one?
I don't remember.
This is the Tiger King
Tiger
Bubble
King
Boy.
Bubble, right? Yeah.
We had never seen it before. We kept hearing about it, so we thought one night, we should watch it, and we'll set up the bubble and do the popcorn thing, and the rest just kind of came into fruition. We got some cats walking around, and it was just one of those in the moment sort of a thing,
Mikey, keep this one up. Yeah, I mean, look at this. How long did it take you to set this up? I mean, the lighting is stunning. Everything is perfect. I could look at this. I could look at this photo for 15 minutes.
Well, I appreciate that. And really the trick for me is to take something that somebody thinks is very simple and to put in little details here and there, and to make the lighting as beautiful as I can, because that's what I do, So for me, going into this situation, it's complicated. You want the right outside light, you want the inside lights, you got to see the bubble. So, it takes a few hours to put it all together. And then of course we're trying to get the cats. And don't forget, the big thing is I'm always in the bubble and I'm the photographer. So it's very challenging for us because once I'm locked in the bubble, Cheryl has to get me in and out of there. I can't get out on my own. So everything we're doing is done from a remote I'm holding in my hand.
Amazing. Let's look at a couple more. Mikey, you push forward to, I love this photo. Where do you just stargazing?
Yeah, this is our starlight bubble. We figured no stars in the sky. We'll put our own in there and make it fun, and maybe have a little Clorox cocktail with Corona in the foreground.
I think that was a political comment, and I love it.
Yeah, we've got our beanie captors on for celebrating being outside and dreaming about the stars.
And the cat is there in the background.
The cat's in the far
again.
background, yeah.
I hadn't noticed that.
4 cats, so there's always one of them.
Let's look at another one. This is one of my favorites. I have to tell you, I just, the depth of this photograph, the cloud. Did you put the cloud in there, George, or was that actually there?
I think, I worked with a very talented retoucher, but I think this one was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what kind of feedback are you getting? I can only, as soon as I saw these, I just wanted to, I wanted to play with you guys. I wish the pandemic was over so I could come down and hang out with you, but you got to be getting a great response.
We are. People writing us, calling us. It's really funny. I mean, it's really taken on a life of its own, and people are calling saying, hey, please don't stop. Thanks for putting a smile on my face in such a difficult time. And so people are really looking forward to it. And again, they look for the details. Now the people are starting to really realize, like my butt crack there, plumber's butt. I've heard a whole bunch of different responses to the different pictures. Yeah.
Yeah, we noticed that one as well.
Yeah.
Is there a book? When I look at these together, it just screams book to me because, it's like I told you in an email, any one of these I think is brilliant, but this is truly an example where the whole is even greater than the sum of the parts. I think a coffee table book would be phenomenal.
Well, thank you.
Or a calendar.
We're thinking maybe a calendar or something, who knows, or t-shirts could be fun, but.
So tell me a little bit about you guys personally, because it's like I said, I want to hang out with you. Your relationship must be a lot of fun. Do you get to work together this closely all the time, or is this just the benefit of the pandemic?
We do. We get to work together as often as we want, actually. He would like me there more often than sometimes when I'm available. But for the most part, I try and be there to support him and be his right hand, left hand sort of thing. And it's been about 35 years since we've worked together. So
I met Cheryl as a model when we used to live up in Rochester, New York. And she was a big Kodak model. And I did a lot of photography there. I went to school there and got out of RIT, opened up a big studio. And, that's where we met. At the time, she was married to somebody else, but that sort of changed.
You're irresistible, George.
We've been working together.
It's phenomenal. And tell people how they can learn more about you guys. Give us a website or something where they can learn more.
Well, easily georgecamper.com. Camper spelled Kamper. is the best place because that's where I have all my work. We're also on Instagram at George Camper, which is the easy place to see all of the pictures as well as my website.
Well, we appreciate it. I wish we had more time. I just love talking to you guys. Congratulations on what you're doing, and thank you for what you're doing because we all need to smile, and you've provided a very interesting way to do it. So thanks a lot.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay.
It was
Thank you,
nice
Mark.
to see you.
Take care.
It was great.
Thank you.
Bill and Laura, what do you think about that? Was that fun or what?
I was going to say, forget the mask. I want a bubble to go around in. I'd feel safer. We could keep our distance easily because we bang bubbles together. Can you picture the whole town walking around in bubbles?
Might be the answer. I love that whole, it almost had like a 70s feel, right? Just that color scheme they were using and the lighting. It's genius. What a creative couple.
Speaking of creativity, Bill.
Yeah, creativity, definitely the key. And, without knowing it, we've all had to become so much more creative through this, especially in the kitchen, because all of a sudden it's not, what do you want to eat anymore? It's more like, what do we have to eat? And Laura Savini, that is an area where you really shine.
Well, thank you. I've really sort of concentrated on that lately, Bill, because for us, we're not going out very often. I go shopping once a month and then maybe fill in. Somebody will drop some produce off for us or something because we really are trying to stay in the house. And for most of us, it's probably a good idea for the foreseeable future. So if you limit those trips to the grocery store, what do you do? What do you cook once you get past the fresh foods? Well, I have really concentrated on how you stock your pantry. And I think we have a picture of my pantry. You can see I was shopping last week. So I've really filled that up with all the things you're going to need. And there's an article that how to stock a modern pantry in the New York Times. And we're going to put that on our list later. So you can, there you go. You'll be able to find that article, How to Stock a Modern Pantry in the New York Times. And it goes through all the different ingredients that you need to have in there. So you start with your fresh ingredients and you use those first in your pantry. So those would be your berries and your salads and your fresh meats. Then you move to your tubers and your root vegetables. So make sure you always have some carrots and radishes and turnips in your fridge so that you can use those. So you keep having some fresh foods in your house. And then you keep your home stocked with frozen and canned vegetables. So maybe you do a fried rice or a soup and you throw a can of canned vegetables in there. Or maybe you're in the mood for a dessert and there's nothing in the house. What are you going to do? You have some frozen berries in the refrigerator, cook them up with a little squeeze of lemon, because you should always have lemons in your house. Put a little granola on top, and you've got this wonderful dessert with a little, I always keep that emergency can of fresh whipped cream in the house as well, so that you can have a treat when you want it. So it really becomes this sort of art of what you need to do to make the best of those cans of beans, right? They always tell you to have cans of beans in the house. What are you going to do with these, right? What do you do with a can of white beans? Well, the other day we were looking around, what are we going to eat? We were starting to run out of all the fresh foods. So I took a couple of shallots, which you should always have some shallots and onions in your pantry, caramelized those shallots, put in the can of white beans that you know you're going to have in your fridge. Then I also put in some artichokes. I always keep canned artichokes because you can put them in with chicken, lemon. What a great dish if you just fry those up in the pan. But meanwhile, I did them as a side dish. Squeeze some of that lemon on top. It was delicious. But then I noticed I needed a little color, fresh parsley. Made it this bright, colorful dish. So the idea, and now that's my pantry egg salad. So you say egg salad, boring. Not in our house. That in there has dried fruits, which we always keep in the house, fresh herbs. It has nuts. It has almonds in there. And then I had a box of crackers that had stuck around that somebody missed eating. Put that on the side. So it becomes this wonderful dish. And then my husband likes mayonnaise. I like yogurt. So I put a little yogurt in it. He fixes it up with the mayonnaise. And suddenly boring egg salad becomes this really nice dish for you to have for lunch or dinner. And then if you have the herbs in the house, you cook up a little herbs into your scrambled eggs and a little mashed sweet potato on the side. These are all things that you should have in your pantry. You put them together and suddenly you have this wonderful meal where you think it might be boring. but you can make some great things. And the key to pantry cooking, I found, is really discover what's your flavor palette. As you can see from the ingredients I've been holding up, I sort of lean toward the Italian side. I always have some canned caponata eggplant salad in there because you can put that over chicken or put that over a piece of steak if you have it, or you could just put that over polenta. Polenta is a lifesaver when you're pantry cooking because that works for every meal. Breakfast with scrambled eggs. Lunch, it's wonderful with some tomato sauce and sauteed zucchini on top. You see, it's making these items work for you, making the versatility of the items in your pantry work for each meal. So you could also go the Mexican style. Go Mexican with sofrito. The polenta, again, is part of the Mexican palate, and they're, having a can of green chilies in there that you can mix into different dishes with rice. There's so many different flavors you can go for. And then, of course, you can always go Asian, have some Thai sauces in there. All of these mixed together so that you can take some basic items you have, rice, beans, canned tomatoes. Maybe you always keep a frozen chicken in the freezer. You'll always have something to eat, and it's just working your way through and being creative with mixing those textures. I love chopping up some dates and putting those into either my egg salad or a rice dish or cooking that in with the chicken. It's delicious. And if you're making a soup, you've got tons of things. If your pantry is stocked correctly, and again, you'll see that list of what you should put in your pantry, then you'll always have something to eat. And it becomes sort of a game in our house. Jimmy will look in the refrigerator. He's like, there's nothing to eat. I'm like, yeah, give me 10 minutes. I'll get you something to eat. And we come up with this fabulous meal, and it really becomes a fun thing for us to do. So I think, and then like the other day, he was like, what are we going to eat? Keep hard cheeses in the fridge, right? A hard cheese is a great pantry item because it doesn't go bad. It stays for a long time. So we took that. This was a very romantic lunch, let me tell you. We had that nice piece of Parmesan cheese, the caponata, a sliced pear. Who needs takeout? We have it right here if you've got that pantry stocked correctly. So those are some of my thoughts of what you might want to try. Get a little crazy with the spices, try some new blends. The other day I put cinnamon in my tomato sauce. It was outrageous. And then I had the lemon rind, because I always keep the rind, a bowl of lemon rind in the refrigerator, a zest, I guess is really the word. Put that on yogurt. I put that on our sweet potatoes, the mashed sweet potatoes. It brightens things up. So the whole idea is to get really creative with your textures, your spices, your color, and you end up always having something delicious to eat. We've not eaten out, Bill, in months now.
Laura, thank you. Thank you for that, because you know what you did there? First of all, great tips and great ideas. But what you did is you've changed our mindset from being afraid to make a colossal mistake to being excited enough to give something a try and maybe come up with something different and good. So
no mistakes, Bill. It's all about playing in the kitchen. A recipe's a guideline. Always keep that in mind. With pantry cooking, you look at it as a guideline. You don't have coconut milk? Well, I saw some almond milk back there, and there's some whole wheat flour. You just switch things around until you get the flavors you're looking for.
It's awesome, Laura. Thank you for encouraging us to try new things, because really this whole time period we're in, it's kind of what we're doing. We all wish life was different. We wish we weren't going through this. We wish a lot of things. We wish we had more money, better health, more time. Well, we've got to have less pity and more party in our lives. Think about what you can do. Diana Nyad, remember her? She is a Growing Boulder contributor. She was the one who wanted to be the first to swim from Cuba to Florida. Well, she failed 4 times. And at the age of 64, she finally did it. And here's what she has to say about the power of attitude.
Don't tell me I shouldn't be able to do it, that I can't do it at this age. And, who's to say that at age 80, I couldn't do something of that ilk? I don't know yet, but I judge for myself. I feel what I feel instead of somebody else telling me what my limitations are.
And we can do the same in our lives.
Everybody can do the same. I think that, I've met so many people, like you just hear the echo in my ears saying, oh, I could never do that. And I say to them, of course you could. Of course, I could never run a marathon. If you wanted to, you could. You know, it might not be good for your knees, but just because you don't think that's in your, you know, you even have the right to do it. That's what a lot of people feel like. You know, I couldn't go to medical school. My father always told me I'm not smart enough for that. Well, you know, forget your freaking father out of your life then and go to medical school. People should decide for themselves, not in a rebellious way, not in an angry way, but just in a real way. Get real. What can you do? A lot more than you think.
Do you love that, guys? I mean, that's her point. If there's something you want in life, nobody's responsible for it but you. Go get it.
I love that, Bill. In fact, it's inspired me to share what's on my mind today, if that's okay. If you'll give me a moment to do that, because what's on my mind today, folks, is community, which is really defined as any group of people that share a common interest or a common goal. And obviously, unless you've been living in a vacuum, you know that the common interest, the common goal that we all share right now is trying to find a way to mitigate, to cure, or to create a vaccine for COVID-19. And, you know, this common enemy is a painful and a powerful reminder to all of us that we are all the same, that every one of us is exactly the same. And I mean that literally, because 99.999% of our DNA, every human being alive, is exactly the same. And that 0.0001% difference is primarily some health issues in our appearance. And we allow that 0.001 difference to separate us. We are all very much the same. We are all very much part of the same community, our neighborhood, our state, our country, and everybody that lives, you know, in the goal. So we have to stop paying attention to our differences and start understanding that we are all the same, whether we are black or white or Hispanic or Native American, whether we're rich or we're poor. Now, we are all exactly the same. And somehow, some way, we have allowed this pandemic to divide us. So let's all remember that we're all part of the same community. We have heard it a million times. It's gotten to be so trite, but it is true. We are all in this together. And let's understand that this is not the end of these common challenges that we will face. I mean, we face global warming. We face poverty. There will be more COVIDs. There will be more pandemics ahead. And we have got to learn to figure out how to fight these together, to come together, because the world has become a very small place. What happens in China now affects everybody all over the planet. So I'll get off my soapbox now, but what do you think about that? Share your comments below, and maybe we'll share some of those next week. So Billy, let's get into our meme stream, and we'll wrap this thing up. Our meme for the week is a simple statement about our health and the fact that our health is, in fact, our greatest wealth. You cannot have one without the other. The two are inextricably linked. Improving your health will improve your wealth for the rest of your life. Our healthcare costs will be our greatest cost moving forward. So do yourself a favor, folks, and pay attention to your health, because it is more important than ever.
And
so, go ahead, Billy.
I was just going to say, it's not just physical health either, right, Mark? I mean, it's mental health as well. Doing things, taking a class. Hey, during this pandemic, how cool would it be to take an online class? We've listed hundreds of online classes you can check out. How about getting in shape, right? As Mark said, health is wealth. How do we get in shape? Do you have 7 minutes? We've got a whole list of 7-minute workouts for you. So much to do, so much to explore right now. So where do you find it all? growingbolder.com. Go there, check it out. Find the box that says click on this, and you will unlock physical, mental, entertainment, information, resource riches that you can't believe. It's growingbolder.com. Please check it out.
All right, Billy, great point. Laura Savini, thank you so much for playing with us again today. It's always fun, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. Will you be back?
Oh, I'm coming back. I love you two, and this is a great content you all provide, so I'm glad to be part of it.
You're sweet to say that. We greatly appreciate it. Folks, remember that, all the money in the world cannot buy you good health, but good health will in fact save you hundreds of thousands of dollars over the rest of your life. So no matter what, take care of yourself today. Have a great week, and we'll see you again next week when we talk about what's next.
Growing